Next and last presentation is by my buddy Matt, and I really enjoyed this presentation because it allowed me to know a lot more about our food than I've ever known before. Thank you.
What is our food? I love food a lot. If you are friends with me, you know I can put down plates upon plates in a single meal, not throughout the day. But I want to talk about what is the thing that we put in our body. So the first thing is all of our food, most of it, comes through a process that we humans have perfected over millennia, and that's domestication. We have transformed animals and plants on this earth to suit our needs. As you see on the screen, this is only a small percentage of all the species that we have domesticated over millennia to suit our needs for clothing, food, labor, etc. But how does domestication work? Domestication is a process where we pick the traits that we desire from the species and breed that as traits that we deem desirable. And from those traits, we refine the organism. In the process, we get rid of the traits that we do not want. And this is a few examples of that. We have cultivated species in our wild forms and transformed them into the versions we know today. My favorite example is a banana. When you ever bite into a banana, do you know, have you ever found a seed in a banana? You shouldn't. There are no seeds. Actually, our bananas are sterile. They are actually genetic clones of each other. The yellow banana we see today. And bred over the entire world. And this is through our process of taming the natural world to suit our needs. But my favorite process, something more close at home, that I personally deal with when I go home, is this. I have 2 chihuahuas. And over the course of millennia, we humans have transformed gray wolves into lap dogs, hunting dogs, service animals, etc. Every color of the rainbow. Dalmatians, pugs, corgis, anything you want, we can breed those dogs. And we've done that through selective breeding by altering the genetics traits that are expressed within these individuals of the species. All these animals look different, but they're all the same species, and that's been done through selective breeding. And so the reason why I'm talking about domestication is actually my topic here is nothing about domestication. It really isn't. But it was the precursor to what I want to talk about. And we'll get to that shortly. And this is the point why my topic came to be. In the 1900s, we were experiencing great famines across the world. People were starving everywhere. We look over, we see images from the 1960s, especially where everyone was empty stomach. Vietnam, China, you had Russia, all these great areas where people were starving to death. So what stopped our world? Because back then, the world population was only 3 billion. Today, it's in the 7 billion. 7.4, I believe. So how do we transform from a world more fertile and less people to a world that's less fertile and more people? Well, we did something called the Green Revolution. And I like to point out this fact right before here. This charts. The 1960s is when the Green Revolution took place, as you see right here. And at that point, this great revolution happened, and our starving world ended. How did we do that? Did you see the pictures? We did through modern irrigation systems, updating our agricultural system. We also used chemicals, pesticides to protect our crops. But we did one more thing, and that's the topic of this conversation. And that one topic are GMOs, genetically modified organisms. For millennia, we altered species to fit our needs, taking generations upon generations upon generations. Now we have the process to do within 1, 2, 3 generations to modify an organism to suit our needs that we need. So what is GMOs? Are they a threat to us? Because I always hear that one question. Why? It's bad for you, but why? No one seems to know why they're bad for you. Really? from taking Dr. Nilsson's plants, places, and people class, we cover GMOs and the whole controversy surrounding them. There's only one actual consideration on why GMOs can be a touchy subject. And that's actually nothing dealing with us, humans, eating them, dealing with them, nothing of that sort. It's them breeding with their wild counterparts, their relatives. But that can always be resolved through selective breeding, creating sterile members of the species, and also just planning. We all have to plan. We plan for everything. We plan for the exams we take. We plan for construction. We can plan where we put these animals in the plant species. But the reason I want to talk about GMOs is, like I said, that whole misconception about them. They're bad for you, they're bad, they're bad. But no one seems to know why they're bad for you. How does a GMO work? We go in and alter it through our modern technology. CRISPR is an example. We go in and insert in genes that we desire and take genes out that we do not want. And that basically eliminates the process of domestication that takes millennia to do. And I'm just really fascinated with this topic because growing up, I always heard GMOs. My mom was like, oh, we don't want that, that's GMO. And I just sit there and thought, why, Mom? But why? And she was like, I don't know. It's just everything I hear about them is that later in life, I go to a conference. They're selling these new blueberry bars that are GMO-free, and everyone's clapping and applause. And I'm just wondering, but why? What's so wrong with them? Well, the truth is, they're not really, and there's tons of advantages with GMOs. GMOs have allowed us to go from a world with 3 billion people starving to a world of 7 billion people who, there are still people in this world starving, but that's not due to our food shortage, that's due to our transportation and spreading our resources out. Because as a matter of fact, we grow more food than we actually consume as a species on this planet. But what else does it do to our crops and animals and livestock? Well, additionally, it gives us the ability to have better yields. We have a surplus of food now. And not just with a surplus, we're able to craft organisms more resilient to their natural environments than their wild counterparts. And I'd like to talk about something. I apologize for the English if it's disturbing. And this is a great point about GMOs. In Asia, the main staple crop there is rice, like grain is here. And the unfortunate truth is rice lacks certain nutritional benefits needed for functional survival. And one of those is vitamin A. In East Asia, there is a deficit in vitamin A in this population, and a lot in the youth. And this leads to blindness due to this lack of eating of this key nutrient. And that's what this white glaze over those people's eyes are, those children, is they're going blind because they're not getting the right food. And I like to bring this up because this is a real world suffering. And how was this resolved? The answer to this conflict was actually genetically modified organisms. Golden rice. Golden rice is rice, but a little bit of carrot in there. So what ended up happening was, to tackle this issue, carrots have vitamin A in them. They would take that gene that produced the vitamin A and place it into the rice. And the orange hue off the carrots, from the carrots, what makes the carrots orange, a little bit like that into the rice, and hence why the rice appears blue. That tint was added to it. And because of that, this rice now prevents children and anyone within the population from going and turning blind, because they're able to get that vitamin A. And so I just want to talk about GMOs. We had that fear, and I hope I'm addressing some of these concerns. Genetically modified organisms are the future of our species. They have allowed us to rise from a starving world to a world that you could argue is now obese with so much food. It has allowed us to grow more crops in areas where we couldn't grow more crops. And with rising climate change as an issue facing our whole planet, more land, there's less land now than there was ever before where we can grow food because of the rising temperatures and the more unstable climate. Genetically modified organisms are the key to our survival in this situation. We're making the world less livable. So to produce food, which allows us to live, we need to be more resilient and more tolerant to issues. And it needs to be more efficient and produce more yields for us as a species, because even though our world is getting less better to live in with rising sea levels, rising temperatures, our population is still skyrocketing. By 2050, we're experienced to have a population around 10 billion, with less land than currently to grow our food. And this is why I want to talk about and address the misconceptions about GMOs. We always hear why, they're bad, but why? There is no actual issue with them, besides breeding with wild counterparts. Genetically modified organisms are just the next step in our technology, from domestication, we were taking millennia to do, and generations, to just doing it overnight. We saw it with many processes. We saw it with the cotton. People would pick cotton in a slow, agonizing process. And it was until the cotton gin we were able to refine it and produce better yields of cotton. Genetically modified organisms, this process, is the cotton gin of our agricultural world and biological world. And I would like to address one thing. Always know what you're putting in your body. Genetically modified organisms are a feature, but it doesn't mean you should be blind or accept it. Always question what you put in you. Everything you eat becomes part of you. Nutrients, additional, everything. And you should always be knowing what you're putting in yourself. Check where you're getting your food. But just know that genetically modified organisms, GMOs, are not a monster created out of that, the devil himself, but they are salvation as a species in a world that's becoming more unstable, climate-wise, less land being able to grow, and a skyrocketing population. Thank you.
I want to thank you, Matt, for clearing up all those common misconceptions, and I want to thank you guys for coming to the first ever Penn State Insight Conference. Give it up for yourselves.